this is one of those almost secretive, under the radar industries that I don't see anyone talking about it besides me and Jenk and our entire team and our huge community of like 5,000 business loan brokers. So, alternative lending is, as the name suggests, is alternative to the traditional lending. And let me ask you a question: how many of you actually love your bank? Like, you can't get enough of them. You can't help but stop by the branch and talk to people and get all the money you need. How many people would love to talk about their banks and their experience so far? So the experience people have at banks are relatively negative usually, especially over the past decade. You'll see a lot of PNC branches, Bank of America branches literally shutting down. Yeah, a lot of that, one reason is that it's going online. But banks, it's like a one-way street, right? They want you to open a bank account. They want you to keep depositing your money. And when you need funds or some kind of education, they go, sorry, I can't really help you. And it's proven by the statistics. Like, more than 80% of the people who need some kind of funding through a bank, they cannot get it. Right. So these institutions, you would think, are created to serve us better, right? Because the system doesn't want us to keep our cash under the pillow, but they want you to deposit it so they can track it. But when I need it, based on my past history of deposits, you would think that it would be easy for me to get qualified. I remember my first credit card, it was for $500, right? So you go through life and you get to the age of 18, 19, 20, and all your worth in the eyes of the bank is $500, really. And then as you grow older and you start businesses, they tell you, yeah, we don't trust you enough, so we're not going to even give you startup funding. How crazy is that? Like, we live in a capitalistic country which is highly entrepreneurial, right? So the so-called everyone is so-called supporting this growth, but when it comes to needing funding, like, more than 90% of the businesses need capital to not only start and grow but sustain their presence, their livelihood. But there's no real way to get it through the banks. So that's exactly what's going on. That gave birth to an industry called alternative lending industry. So it's been around for a long, long time. Actually, lending has been around for a long time. Like, if you think about like Andrew Carnegie's, Charles Schwab's, they started lending money to the government. That was one of the reasons why they came up with the antitrust law that they used, because they were afraid that individuals would be more powerful than the government. That's when the lending started. Alternative lending was created primarily because people got fed up dealing with banks, right? So not only on the startup end, let's say you're a real estate investor. How many of you are real estate investors or know someone who buy properties, right? So either for fix and flip or buy and hold, on the buy and hold route. And Jenk was actually years ago was helping me with that. We had properties too. It's a big hassle. So if you have been involved with real estate in any capacity, like, the second time you buy the property, third time you buy the property, you're okay. The fourth time you go to the same bank and they see that you bought property through them and you're making your monthly payments, and they tell you, ooh, man, you're kind of high risk right now. And so they turn you down. And you ask yourself, well, I thought you were here to support me. And you see that I have a good track record and I'm collecting my rents, I'm being a good citizen, dude. Like, what's going on here? And they tell you that you reach whatever their capacity, terminology they use to shut you down. So all of those reasons gave birth to alternative lending industry. And the founders are a bunch of people who got fed up with this. These were investors. And they said, what if we believe in American people? Like, we believe in small business and give them money, right? A group of passionate people were fed up and they started to alternative lending industry. So, and Jenk and I and a bunch of crazy people, we are a part of that industry right now. Fast forward to 2024, there are more than 120 different funding options through that industry. So for you, you might ask, why would I care, Oz? I didn't join here to learn about real estate funding. I 100% agree with you. But would we agree that the easiest way to make a lot more money is to get involved in industries who are close to money? Like, think about all the entities, associations that are the richest and the wealthiest in this industry. Would you agree those are the credit card companies and the banks? Yeah, you hear about Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and all the top rich people. But what about the people that we're not allowed to talk about? How rich is Citibank, Bank of America, PNC Bank, their board of directors, right? What are they doing to make money? Well, they take advantage of the tax benefits and also lend money to individuals in the form of credit cards, loans, mortgages. And look where we are right now, right? I don't think anyone will say we're in a better place than we were before because of that, right? They certainly are in a better place than everyone else because of the system, because of the consumer market. So our model is, what if you flip the game on them and help you learn how this works, the alternative lending industry. So instead of being the user of the system, the consumer of the system, what if you can offer it to other people, give other people a chance to start their business and grow their business, to survive, thrive, open multiple locations? What if you help real estate owners buy multiple properties? And what if, a lot of these real estate owners are afraid to show their profits and loss, right? So what if you can do no document real estate funding and make money? So would you agree that the easiest way to make a lot more money is by getting closer to the source of the money, right? Cenk and I were just so passionate about this. It's been before he started with BLB, he was a business loan broker himself, right? So he was involved with the industry. Then he got started. Then we started training people. Then it turned into almost like a little revolution, right? People started learning about their options. Many people who joined our community, they actually use the funding options that they never heard of before because it's not advertised. You're not going to see it on TV. You're not going to see it on YouTube. So that's why if you're joining us today, I think you're in a fortunate spot, and we want to make sure that we answer all of your questions about the alternative lending, funding industry, and how you make money. So again, since I have over a decade experience. I generated my first $1 million in this industry at the age of 30. I'm 40 years old right now. We built a company that has done so far $25 million, a little more than that, through the alternative lending industry. So I think in this day and age, it's very important that you get your information from sources that are credible. Otherwise, I could have just given you a couple of YouTube videos. You can go watch stuff, or you can type it in, Chat GPT and AI. But it is better to learn from people who are in it day in and day out. So I don't know how you found us and how you got onto our list and you joined us today, but I want to congratulate you that no matter how much you learned today, you might not even like us at the end of today, but I guarantee you that you're going to leave with information that probably you will not hear anywhere else. Does that make sense? Does that get anyone excited? Yes, love it. So, what do you guys want to know about? Let's do a little survey. So, we want to give you what you need to know because some of you might be familiar with business lending blueprint or alternative lending. Some of you might have no idea who we are and what we're talking about here. But Cenk, you talked to thousands of people. Like, can you walk us through some of the case studies of how much people can generate so people can see the potential here?
Yeah, no, I mean, I hold a lot of meetings with a lot of different students, everyone from students that are just starting out, just getting their first deals done, to people that are really building more of a team. So if I were to start all the way from the beginning, from just someone getting their first deal done, we have a lot of people that like to get startup deals done. That's one of the easiest deals to work on and get funded. And in fact, our lender, we just talked to them just last week. They're funding about $1.5 million through our community just in startups
Crazy.
through one lender. And we're approaching also the startup season. There is kind of a season for startups as well, which is towards the end of the year and the beginning of next year, where it will actually hit a number of like $3 million for just startups, one particular lender. But if we're going to translate that into just how one student or a couple of students are doing it specifically, we have students that just recently, we have one that funded a $400,000 working capital loan, which is a pretty big one. In that case, it was a pretty big business. He took home like about a $15,000 commission. We have actually two members, they actually tag teamed this. So within the community that we provide access to people, they kind of met each other and worked on an equipment deal for a combine, like a cotton picker, which I didn't even know it was a separate machine. They had a
Sure.
machine.
Anyone
Yeah,
knows
for
what a
cotton,
cotton
right?
picker machine is? Like I don't even know there was a machine for that. I'm sure somehow they were picking the cottons, but I just didn't know there was a machine
Yeah.
that we can finance.
I didn't even know it was like a separate machine. Like I knew combines. I mean, we grew up around these type of things too, but like it's apparently a totally separate machine. It was $169,000 for that machine. And they ended up, working together. They partnered from the community to work on that deal. I think the commission for that was somewhere around like $9 or $10,000. So they split it evenly down the middle. And those are deals, that's the big question too, because I think a lot of people are also used to going to like the bank and kind of they're used to that wait time. They know, maybe the most common experience a lot of people have or hear about is mortgages. They go to the bank and it takes about a month, 2 months to get a mortgage from a bank. The cool thing with all these deals I've talked about so far, they're all being done in just about a week, and in some cases, even just 2 days. And that's really where we have a lot of the students that are doing multiple of these deals every single week. And that's how we have, some students that have Like we have one guy I was just talking to just yesterday. He has 11 salespeople now on his team, so he's
11.
really expanding. Yeah, he's really expanding beyond just himself. And now they're calling his leads, and I think so far this month they're up at like $11,000 for the month, just in profit for himself. So he's already paid his sales team already as well.
And Jeng, I'm gonna share like just to for people to check out like our YouTube channel, right? So
Yeah,
what someone asked about like the line of credit, right? So we have a direct lender within our community. The video that I just released like 6 days ago, someone making $55,000 from one deal. Let that sink in. Like $55,000 in the bank from one deal, and he didn't pay for that lead. It came through a referral, and it went through like a business line of credit. Like that's how much he's getting paid. Obviously, this is not typical. This is on the extreme end. I'm going to give you the typical because we want to be fully transparent, right? But the average commission is $3,000 to $5,000. So you successfully put one customer through alternative lending. What you should be getting paid, whether you do this on your own or through us, is three to $5,000. So if you think about, you don't have to answer this question, but if you think about how much you're making right now, how many of these would easily surpass your current income? Imagine you're only doing 3 deals a month, three entire month, 30 days, sometimes 31 days. And I'm sure you have life just like I do, kids, family, maybe other obligations. 3 deals. What if it could put you over 10K minimum? Like if you're making 10K and above, you're almost in the high income bracket. And think about how much work you're putting in right now to make whatever you're making. If you're making 50, 60, 70, 80K, how much effort is expected from you to put in to claim that? What if you could invest in a skill set, because it's not just finding the next hot thing, the grass is greener. It's just allowing yourself to learn a skill set of selling the sexiest product on earth. What is that? Money, right? It's not going to go anywhere. Amazon can go out of business. Elon Musk can go out of business. Anything that crypto might disappear tomorrow. Who knows? I know there are fanatics. People might get mad at me and tell me that it's going to replace the current currency. I'm not getting into that topic. What I'm saying is that no matter what happens, I genuinely do not care, because I know that during the ups and the downs and ups and downs and sideways, someone will need money. What they do with the money is none of my business. I just don't want to be the guy who needs it. I want to be the one who provides it. So not only I solve a big problem, like anyone who follows Tony Robbins, it says that you get paid in direct proportion to the size of the problem you solve. Would you say that solving somebody's money problem is a pretty sizable problem? I would say so. Like, write down all the problems that you have in your life. Money is not everything, I guarantee you that. But I would say it's at the top three. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? If you had unlimited amount of income, if you had no money problem, how much of your problems would just disappear? Right? So again, it doesn't solve everything. It's not going to give you the happiness, but it can certainly help. I can tell you from personal experience. I grew up poor. I come from an immigrant family. So when you don't have it, it's very stressful. It shuts down your decision-making mechanism. It stresses you. So, but when you open up, unlock the potentials, which you all have. So that's very important. Just wanted to showcase that. So if you go through our YouTube channel, you're going to see tons of videos. Like Jen gave a couple of examples. We kind of go through that on a daily basis. All right. Do we alternative lending, business line of credit? Yeah, the normal, let's talk about that. So I guess your question is like, how is it different? What is it? So a business line of credit, usually a bank term, right? So you go to bank, you provide your financials, time and business, and they give you a line of credit to be used. Usually the terms are really good. What is the big problem? Well, the problem that you mentioned in the beginning, you don't get approved for it. So unless you're a mid-sized business or a larger business, then the question is, if I already have money, what am I going to do with the money? I want the money when I need the money type of thing, right? It's the chicken or egg situation. So the business line of credit situation and alternative lending is a lot more flexible on approving people for them to get the business line of credit. What is business line of credit? Well, it's not just cash in the bank. It is what you're approved for, then you can draw from. Like you get approved for $250,000. You can use that, pay it back. You can use the whole amount. It just replenishes itself again when you pay it back. And a lot of times it's like a very lucrative way for a business to support itself through ups and downs, right? The key about money is to getting access to it when you don't urgently need it. Then money becomes so expensive, right? So if you're at your last dime and you can't do pretty much anything to get money, things can get ugly, right? The same here. That's why this alternative lending industries have been growing so much. If you ever been following me, like when I first started in this industry back in 2015, 16, my videos used to say that this is a $300 billion industry. Like I said, I just came out of a call talking about equipment leasing, which is only one of the funding options. That option alone is a $1 trillion industry. I used to say the alternative lending industry is 300 billion. Now one product is 1 trillion and more. And this is not, the time span is not 50 years or 100 years. We're not like banks. Banks have been around forever, like 250 years. This is within the span of a decade, less than that. You see the explosive growth. So if you're not a part of that, it's just going to fly past you and you won't know what happened, right? So it's really, really important. We
Yeah.
get these questions, how does the alternative lending industry get affected when there's a rate cut, when there's a recession? It's interesting thing. People used to ask about recession. Then we lived through a freaking pandemic. Like, who would have thought, right? Mind blowing. Holy cow. Like, we used to see that stuff on the movies, like dystopian movies that you wake up and the earth is shut down. That legit happened. Like, that was insane. And this industry survived through that. If you go back into our community, there were funding options when everything else was shut down. They freaking shut down New York City. Go figure, right? So there were still funding options, let alone recession. So these talks on the Fed cutting rates or increasing rates, honestly, it's not really that relevant. It makes the money a little cheaper now since the rate is cut. The baseline figure is a little cheaper, but for our audience, it doesn't really matter because for someone who would have gotten that rate from a bank, they should have done it already. Why is this industry growing when you think about it? Supply and demand, right? If no one needed, if everyone was able to get the money from the banks, do you think there would be a need for us? No, they'd just be happy and square and just build businesses, right? The reason it's exploding is that people are trusting their banks a lot less. People see that banks are siphoning money. If they go out of business, government is bailing them out. Whose money are they using, by the way? Oh, your tax money. Okay, did you approve that? No. Well, no one cares, right? So the way you can get involved, well, it starts with the question of how are you gonna, like, what are you trying to accomplish, right? So where are you right now in life? Are you trying to save for retirement? Do you want to be like a full-time business loan broker? Are you just trying to generate some side income, right? A few $1,000s will put you above the water every single month. Like, that depends on like what you want to accomplish. That answers the question of how you want to get involved, because honestly, you can become like a referral partner and work with the people who are funding deals and refer them business. And even that pays you $1,000 to $3,000. Or if you decide to be a business loan broker, you get involved with the industry, you collect application, 3 months of bank statements, you're the one passing it off to the lender. So within our business lending blueprint, we have a three-step approach. Jen, can we talk about like the do-it-yourself done for you and go direct to the lenders?
Yeah, definitely. So, in general, whenever you have a deal or a lead that needs to be worked on, so there's three ways that most of our students get them done. So you could go the done for you route, which is usually what most people are doing when they're just starting in. They don't maybe have enough knowledge on the lending industry, or we have a lot of situations where a student actually joins in and they already have a deal ready to go. They already, maybe they mentioned to their family member or, they had an uncle that has a business and they already actually have a deal that's ready to go and they need to actually work on it. So we have partners actually in place in the blueprint that will help you with the entire funding process. And so they'll be able to work with any type of lending option and be able to do the whole document collection and the deal submission process for you, including also telling the client what they're approved for. So we call it the done for you method because it really is done for you. All you really need is the basic contact information of your lead, and they do the rest of the process for you. The other option is if you're going to be doing it yourself. So you're going to be collecting documentation from the client itself, which generally the documentation is not too crazy either. For most
No.
businesses, all we're collecting is a one-page application and usually a couple months of bank statements. And once you have those documentations, you go directly to the lenders. So within our community, we have a list of over 20 different lenders that you can actually work directly with and submit those documentations to. And once you have those submitted, the lender is going to let you know, usually in 24 to 48 hours, what your client is actually approved for. And at that point, you could either have them fund the deal and work with you on closing the deal, or you could present it yourself and close the deal. So those are really the two major methods that we use for working out a deal for most deals that people have. But I would say a third option in there is if you're partnering on a deal. So within the community, we also, beyond the partners that we have, beyond the lenders we also have built up now expert community of students that have now been funding deals for years and years now. So we have some students that are making, 40, 45, $70,000 a month just in their lending business. They built a monster of a business now for themselves, and they're experts in particular lending options. So a lot of students also have the option of then working with one of those brokers and co-brokering a deal, which means they also kind of benefit from the education aspect of it as well. So you're
Hmm.
not just passing off information, but you're actually working on a deal together to get the deal to the finish line. So ultimately, I mean, wherever position or I guess knowledge you are at when you're starting off in the blueprint, there's typically going to be a way that you could get a deal done. And that's why, I love the different options we put together for even just brand new people. Because I can't even list the number of times we've had students join in, email support literally the same moment and say, I got a deal. I don't know what to do. It's really fun to be able to say, awesome, this is exactly what you need to do. Go to this partner. They're going to help you all the, every step of the way and literally get a deal done in your first week. Like that's the really cool part. So there's no speed limit here, basically.
Yeah, a lot of the information, I think people get confused, right? Knowing what kind of funding options are available will not make you money, right? The goal is to understand the products and close the knowledge gap, right? So that's why having a community is so important. I don't know if we have anyone here from the Business Lending Blueprint community, if you can chime in and say yes, and maybe say a few words about our community, but you can ask questions and get answers. So if I have kids, anyone have kids, you know how many questions they ask, right? They ask questions all day long, and you don't tell them go Google it or figure it out. Like you, until they reach a certain age, you help them. Like you kind of help them ask better questions over time, right? You kind of train them on asking better quality questions. It is the same way. When someone is getting on their feet and trying to walk, a community is important. Otherwise, we can all do knowledge dump on somebody, and you hope that they make it, right? That's not the goal. The goal is to understanding, hey, who can I help? Right. I think someone asked that question. What kind of funding options can we provide? Let's kind of dive into that a little bit. Right. So, like I said, there are so many funding options, but at BLB, we use a few of them. We use about a dozen of them. Why is that? Why are we not getting into everything? Because for people who are in our community, it's not worth the effort until they start money. My philosophy in life is to shorten the gap between where you are and where you want to go. You're at point A right now, something has been messing with you, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be jumping on a Zoom call with two dudes in the middle of the date. You want to change something, right? And there is a direction that you want to go. This is the ideal situation. This is the current situation, ideal situation. There's a distance in between. And sometimes there are walls in between. You can't just go straight to it. Our entire goal is to eliminate all of that. So when I think about it that way, the way we design Business Lending Blueprint is how do we help this person go from point A, their current situation, to their desired situation, and how do we create a straight line? If anyone remembers geometry, the shortest distance between two lines is a straight line, right? How do we turn it into a straight line? And what is a win for them? Well, a win is you make money, right? So it's like super important. How do we go from point A to point B? How do we and win is like choosing the most lucrative funding options. That's why we go with about a dozen different funding options that allows you to help a large spectrum of people who needs funding. It says the screen is frozen, but can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I still hear you, Oz. But yeah, your
Okay,
video
good.
I think froze.
So yeah, by not seeing my face, you're not missing a lot. So don't worry about it. It's gonna come back. So we have different funding options, about a dozen of them. Let's quickly go through them. Again, I don't want to bore you with details with the names, specific names. One is startup funding, super hot. Startup funding means that I think someone asked that question. If you don't have a business, if you don't have pre-revenue, basically, you have an idea to start a business, or maybe you have an existing business, but you exhausted traditional ways of getting funding, even alternative ways of getting funding, you get funding based on your credit. If you're using social media, you probably see a lot of ads of people talking, hey, if your credit is good, I can get you up to like $150,000. That's what you can offer to people, right? So people buy those courses, but we kind of make it available within our Business Lending Blueprint. So basically, you can help someone get access to 0% interest funding up to 12 to 18 months. How do you do that? Well, through credit cards. Credit card companies offer that, but they never give you the matrix on how to apply and when to apply. So we crack the matrix through our partners. So if your credit score is decent, 680 or above, or if you can have co-signers, you can get qualified up to anywhere from 50,000 all the way up to 150,000 with introductory rates of 0% for 12 to 18 months. That is crazy, right? Even if you go through like government funding, it's 7, 8, 9%. So it buys you time. And business time is everything. And if you help someone go through that process, you make a few $1,000s, depends on how involved you are. I think that answers the next question on how do we make money, right? Depends on how much you're involved. If you want to be like the go to person and see through the entire process, obviously you make the most amount of money. But you're going to have to learn the business. Until you learn the business, you need to have access to experts. And these experts have done it before. So who would want to shadow someone who's done hundreds of these deals? And as a collectively, as a community, we've done thousands of those deals, right? And so that way you can become a part of a community and learn how to do that. That's one group of products. The second group of products are funding options for existing businesses. Like we call it a three bucket approach pretty much. Like one is the startup funding, the other one small business funding, right? Small business funding is any type of funding for small business. If they want to buy an equipment, okay, you can get funding. If you want to buy a truck, you can get funding. You can't make the payroll, like something happened and you need to pay the employees and you don't want to put yourself in a situation and being shamed to have that conversation with the employees that, hey, guess what, you're not going to get paid next week. You want to get like rapid funding options. You can get funding as fast as in 24 to 48 hours. Someone asked that question. Someone said, well, if when I join your program, how fast until I make money? I don't have an answer to that. That depends on what you do with it, right? So it's not like, you know, I wish we can just plug your brain into our system and you just take action and make money. But as you start using it in some of these funding options, you can make money within 24 to 48 hours. How? You help someone get access to 30, 40, $50,000. They get the funding. Your commission is calculated. It's usually $2,000 to $5,000, usually within that same week, unless we're like at the end of the week and the weekend hits. So you get paid. So within 2 to 4 days, the money is in your bank account. So it's a win-win-win situation. How so? Well, the client is happy. They get the down funding really fast. They can make the payroll. The lender is happy. They lend it money. What does a lender do? Well, lender is the person who makes money through their money, right? They have a bunch of money sitting around. They want to lend it so they make money. They're happy. Well, you are happy because you made a bunch of money too. So it solves everybody's problem. That's why when we talk about alternative lending, it's a problem-solving business, and you're in the business of solving the biggest darn problem, money, right? That's the second bucket. In that bucket, there are 5, 6 different products. I'm not going to get into different ones. I don't want to confuse you guys, but depending on the situation, you can qualify, disqualify people, and go through different options. We actually mail a flow chart for every one of our students. I'm going to actually pull it off of my wall and show it to you. It's like a funding matrix success framework that we created. Cenk and I created this. We shipped thousands of these, and probably hundreds of people have this on their wall, right? So give me 1 second.
Yeah, we send that flow chart to so many people. And the fun part of it is a lot of our students also work from home. So just like me, just like Oz, everyone works from home. So we love to send it out because people love to do exactly this. They frame it up and they put it, in their home office or put it somewhere on the wall. We even have pictures of people's kids and the flow chart. So they kind of train each other off of the flow chart as well, which is just super cool.
Yeah. So we're all about creating frameworks for you to learn faster, because the worst thing that can happen is you join a program, you pay a bunch of money. Business Nanny Blueprint is not free. It's not like a super cheap price point too. So the worst thing can happen is you join and you do nothing with it. So like all day long, and Jen can vouch for this. Like we're always about how do we make it easier for people to learn. Rio says that what interest rate? Rio honestly changes. Again, you have 0% interest products, and you also have products that are like extremely expensive. Like it could be 50, 60%, even more than that, depending on what the clients need. So that's why it's up to you which one you offer. Like and also it's up to the client that you generate. So Gianni says it makes sense how the process works. You cannot see the flow chart. Yeah, I showed it for a couple of seconds. I mean, I don't think we can zoom in on this like with my current setup, but this is actually, if I can figure out my orientation in front of the camera. It's the opposite. So this is what you get. We fold it up and mail it to you. Okay. And let me just go back into the chat. I see a lot of yes, yes. Cora says, what I love about BLB, even though I was sick for a while, I'm able to jump right back in and get help. Never too late to win. Never. And welcome back, Cora. Great to have you. And I hope everything is well with you. Steven, are these deals credit based or collateral based? I would say 90% of the deals are non collateralized deals. That's usually bank based funding if they need collateral like cars, homes, and things like that. So our funding, that the reason it's fast is that underwriting is fast and there's no collateral. That's the good part. Jerry, I think I answered your question. Gainey Turner, I apologize if I butcher your name. If I'm butchering your name, I want to add this lending business alongside with my real estate investor business. Thanks for reminding that. Guys, if you are already in business and you have customers and you're not adding lending options to it, we're not saying shut down your business and do this. Add lending. I guarantee you that your customers need money and they're getting it from somewhere else because they don't know that you do this. We have hundreds of people who are currently in business. They're in so many different kinds of businesses, right? And they're adding funding. We have accountants. Like, isn't that the perfect combination? You're an accountant. People come to you for financial advice. And then guess what? They get questions like, hey, do I need to get a loan? What are my options? And accountants are tired of referring businesses to banks only for their client to come back disappointed that the bank cannot help them, right? I have Malalai. I have 2 questions in the Q&A. I'm going to check it out right now. I just want to scan through the chat so no one feels like we're ignoring you guys. Has this been helpful so far, guys? I know we're like covering things in like a broad term, and as you noticed, we didn't put together any presentation or anything like that. We just wanted to be like an intimate setting where we can talk about the business, give you a good introduction as to how it works and what we do as Business Lending Blueprint, because I get a lot of questions on that one too. People somehow see us, they're in our email list, but they're not clear on what we do. Tracy, on the one-page application, is this similar to MCA one and the other same? Most applications are one-page application. As the funding options get complicated, you have other applications that we provide you. LJ says, very interesting. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Again, are all the loans credit-based? Stephen, no. Like we were just talking about, like the meeting that I just walked out of for our students, they were talking about getting someone approved for less than 500 credit. Credit is a factor, but it's not always credit-based. So you don't have to have great credit and you can still make it happen. Jay, how do you find customers? Well, it's going to sound generic, but they're everywhere, but you got to be intentional on how you find them. And that has to do with what you focus on, like what kind of funding option you want to focus on. You can find them through organic methods, organic meaning LinkedIn, Facebook groups, any other social media. A lot of our members get it through the events that they attend. They also, their own personal network. If you want to automate, like the winners that Cenk is talking about, who's operating at like 50K, 70K, 100K level, they're usually running paid advertising because they know that the ROAS means return on ad spend, meaning that when you're running paid ads, obviously you're paying to a social media channel, either Meta or Google, for eyeballs. Right? So you're running ads, so people see your ad. It has a cost per view. And return on ad spend means that, let's say this month I spend $100. What would be a great return? Well, if I make more than $100, the mine profit, that's what it is, right? So if you spend $100, you make $200, that's not bad. What if you spend $100 and you make $600? Well, that's amazing. If you knew that you had access to that formula, how many $100 would you spend, right? So there are like so many different ways that you can generate leads. Within BLB community, Cenk runs most of that. We have 7 to 10 live calls every single week, right? So you're not just getting access to recorded content, you have access to our content library, because if you have a busy life, and some people like myself, I don't really sleep much, so I spend a lot of my time consuming content and acting on it. So if you're one of those people, you can use the content library, but we believe in ongoing training, like live training. So it's super important. Mel, for someone who works full-time, how feasible is this? It is specifically feasible for people working full-time. I guess 2 questions you need to ask is, if you stay where you are at your current job, will it give you the outcome that you want, right? If that's not the case, well, that's a conundrum, isn't it? You can't leave your job, but you want to build something else too. And the hours you work prohibits you from building something else. You leave job at 6 o'clock. How are you going to talk to people and close deals? That's why Cenk talked about the 3 ways of funding deals: do it yourself, done with you, done for you. So a lot of those people who start Business Lending Blueprint, they have a job. The goal initially is to make as much as what you're making from your job, either to replace it or double your income. If you love your job, I'm not anti-job. I had jobs and I had bosses that I loved. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, is it giving you what you need from it? So with the done for you option, all you have to do is find people, and you can do that for the rest of the day. You can do it 24/7 and pass it off to people whose job is to work in this industry 24/7 to fund those deals for you. So it becomes a revenue share until you get to a comfortable place that you can do it on your own. That's a great question, actually. My name is pronounced Gaynell. Oh, interesting. Nell. Okay. Yeah, my apologies. I wouldn't have known it, but we'll go with Nell. Jerry, everyone should set up a business. What is that? Okay, Social Security isn't enough to live on. Definitely not. Very interesting. The third option is real estate funding. I think we kind of touched on it at the beginning of our discussion pretty much. So these real estate investors, there's so many real estate events. Like, I'm in New Jersey. New York is next door to me, like 35, 40 minutes. I guarantee you every day there's one networking event for real estate investors. What is their biggest problem besides interest rates? Well, they just, but being able to purchase more properties. Well, they're not going to just pay it out of pocket, right? So they need investors, either investors or lenders. So we help them with the lender options. If you know property managers, if you know people who are into fix and flip, ground up, all of that, that's the third category: startup, existing business, real estate. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Cora, how can BLB help me generate leads as a referral partner? Yeah, Cora, I think if you're already in the Business Lending Blueprint, I suggest you join the marketing calls, or you follow one of the lessons on generating leads. And if you're low on budget, we have ways to generate leads for free. Basically, you don't have to have the technology and whatnot, but we highly suggest doing it online. Anything else that I haven't touched on? I'm going to jump in.
Yeah, I think we have a couple people that are asking maybe about that funding option and asking just to talk about the BLB itself as well. Should we put in that link in here so we can get people booked on?
Yeah. So someone was asking, like, how much is BLB? Guys, we have Traces, what time are those 10 calls? They're all over the calendar pretty much. We have a calendar. You choose whatever you want to attend, and all those calls are recorded. So even if you cannot make any of them, you can still catch up with that, right? So we structure Business Lending Blueprint with different access points. It goes anywhere from as little as less than like $1,000 all the way up to $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, depending on what you want to do. That's why it's important that you jump on a call if you're interested to get started. If you have zero budget and you can't spend anything, we have a free school group. School is like a social community, right? So you can join there and you can get acclimated. But obviously, how much we can provide on school is very limited. But still, I want to leave you with something so you can take this conversation and do something with this. Gerald, yeah, we have installment programs, we have financing options. So we make it as easy as possible for people to commit and join our community. But this is a team of I think we're at 13 people right now. That's why it's not a free platform. So we have the top coaches, we have access to the community leaders, like the lady who's been in the equipment leasing industry for 30 years. She just did a presentation for our community. There were more than 100 people. All right. You're not going to find those people on your own and get access to their knowledge base. Cora, I appreciate your feedback. Thank you. BLB is truly a one-stop learning, applying knowledge, and earning. You'll never alone. Thank you. Appreciate it. Cenk, it's an easy link, meetblb.com. You go schedule a call, and we're going to ask you some questions to find out if this is a good fit. At the end of the call, this is not a high pressure sales call. We'll gladly tell you, hey, this is not a good fit for now, but let's go through another option for you to learn on your own, maybe. That's why we created those multiple options. If you are interested, I highly suggest what is a good fit is someone who can dedicate the time, Anansi, and so they actually enjoy this. They see this as a potential to help them go from point A to point B, right? You get excited about doing this, helping people get access to capital. You're a coachable person. You want to learn, right? We really don't want someone who's know-it-all in our community, because you can't really help someone who doesn't want to learn, right? So I go to a lot of conferences myself. Like this year, this is September, I've traveled 8 times already to learn from other people. I go where the knowledge is. So because that's the only way to grow. And I bring it back to my community to train them on what I've learned. So that's one of the areas that you got to be a good fit for. Obviously, you got to have the certain finances in place depending on what package you choose. Again, it's not a free platform. You get access to a lot of stuff. So that's what a good fit is. Yeah, we're looking for the personality, drive, and motivation. Why would you even do this? Why would you even show up on this call or jump on a call with us? What's going through, you know? Nell, empower me. Love that. Thank you. You have a lot of time. What about to do? Well, I mean, that's what we teach, right? So if you have the time, you don't have the money, well, you got to do something with that time that turn into money, right? There's no other way that I know. All right, guys, I don't see any other questions. Has this been helpful? Can you give me a yes if this was good and this was worth your time? Because the last thing we want to do is kind of it wasted your time. Did you guys learn something? Yes, 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 absolutely. Awesome. I'm seeing a lot of yeses. That's great news. Okay, that makes my day.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Well, you know what to do next. If you're interested, just talk to Cenk. Again, I mean, he's here. I don't need to talk about him. He's a great guy. So he's going to tell you like it is, if this is a good fit or not. And if it is a good fit, we'll make it work. We'll find options for you to be able to join and take advantage of this. Again, our priority is our mission is to support you guys. Oh, sorry. Yeah, someone said, I'm sorry. I didn't look at the Q&A. Someone said you didn't answer my question. Okay. So let's go through that quickly. I'm very new. First day, I'm wondering how long it will take to provide a loan for someone. Do you need many documents? No, not really. You need like literally, one-page application, 2-3 months of bank statements, depending on how much they're looking for and what kind of business. It can be 1 day to 3 day, all the way up to 2 weeks, right? Some funding options, they take a little longer, but yeah, time is on your side when it comes to alternative lending. What information do your lending companies need in order to provide a loan to borrower? I think that goes along with the first question, like bank statements. If this is a company that is in existence, meaning that's a revenue generating company. So your application, which we provide, and 3 months of bank statements. If this is a startup lending, no application, just the credit report. And then we have a way for people to pull credit without hurting their credit so they can get approvals. They can go through underwriting so they know exactly how much they're going to get qualified for. This is the 0% interest that I talked about. I answered the other questions. Jackie, does the customer pay for the loan fees out of the pocket or does it get financed? It gets financed. So let's say customer gets $50,000 in loans and let's say they're going to pay back 60,000. It is split up into payments based on the terms. If it is a 2-year term, whatever 60K divided by 24 months, it could be less, it could be more. But yeah, it's not upfront. It's finance. Richard, I'm a real estate investor and wholesaler. Oh, that's awesome. You're like the perfect fit for the funding options, man. This is awesome. I already have pretty much unlimited hard money available at 10 to 12%. If your lender has better rates, I can place millions of my real estate investor network. They're here and there. That's a tricky situation. It depends on the state, what kind of options that you're talking about. A lot of these lenders have that kind of money too, like in our lender network. So it could be 10% less or more. I can't really answer it because real estate, we can, in our flow chart, we have like a 7-question survey that each broker needs to ask about the real estate investment. But yeah, so you have the top, and then we have table lenders too. So you can basically become the lender yourself. All right, I think that's the extent of the questions. Cecilia says, I scheduled my call. Rio, I joined BLB. Oh, you already joined Rio. Congratulations, man. Yeah, great to have you here. How many of you booked a call? Give me a yes if you already scheduled a call with Cenk.
Yeah, if you guys want to talk to me, so the link is super simple. It's meetblb, meetblb.com. That's going to go directly to my calendar. So you guys will be able to just jump right on. I already got a couple of emails already. So we're booking up the time slots really fast already. So I don't know how many more we got left, but yeah, whoever is in here that wants to book, just jump in before they're filling up.
Yeah, book before while you can. Again, like after this meeting, there's going to be an email blast. And it's going to go to thousands of people. So you're here. They have to wait to watch the recording to see if it is worth their time, if it is worth our time, right? So it's got to be a mutually beneficial thing. It's like a partnership, right? Obviously. So with that, guys, thanks for joining. I hope this was helpful. Is it okay if you notify you guys if you have any future trainings like this, like off the cuff? We can provide more structure. We have a lot of PowerPoints and stuff like that. But I just wanted to make sure we just come out and talk about this. Yes, yes, you're going to do so. Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Great, everyone. Have a great Friday. Take care.
See you guys.